Welcome to a super special edition of the Emerging Civil War podcast. This is the Ambrose Burnside Memorial Beard-O-Rama Bracket Special Podcast Edition. And joining me is none other than the bearded historian himself, Jeff Williams. Jeff, how you doing?
Doing great. I'm very hirsute, as y'all can see.
Yeah, you're living right up to your name there.
Right. Yeah, I grew this myself. It's a very fancy model of facial accoutrement.
It is. It's sort of in the James Longstreet in the movie Gettysburg style, except real.
Yeah. Mine looks natural, not not glued to my face.
So, do you have to fertilize that?
Well, there is a lot of maintenance that goes into keeping up of this type of facial accoutrement. You got to wash it. You got to use beard oils. You got to brush through it. There's a lot of upkeep that goes to it. But the work is worth it, so I don't look like a toddler that is standing on another toddler. Because when I shave my beard, I look like I'm an infant, essentially.
Okay, all right. So is that why you chose to grow the beard, or are you a reenactor, a living historian?
Well, yeah, I've done living history stuff for, oh gosh, wow. I just realized
Since you were a toddler, which was just before your beard came in.
It's getting close to 20 years since
Wow.
I've been doing it.
Yeah.
And so, you got to have that Civil War look. So a beard is a part of that. So, whenever I could start growing, I grew it out. This is not the longest I've ever been. I've been down to here before.
Oh,
but
wow.
I had to also do some World War II stuff. So I had to shave for an event a few months ago. So I'm slowly in the process of growing it back out. So
Wow. So how long did it take to get what you have right there on your chin?
um,
Because you didn't shave it all the way off to do the World War II thing, right?
oh, I did, yeah.
Oh, you did. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I had
that's just a couple
clean
months. Oh,
had
wow.
do clean shaven. Well, I guess it's probably getting close to a year now. I had to shave for one back in May. Yeah.
Wow, wow. So you call yourself the bearded historian. You're an actual real historian in real life. It's not just you grew a beard and you're calling yourself that. You work for the Battle of Franklin Trust, great friends of ours at Emerging Civil War. Tell us a little bit about what you do with the historian part now that we've talked about the beard part.
So, I graduated from Middle Tennessee State University with a degree in history in 2018, and I worked at a historic site in Nashville for about 5 years, and I was the assistant director of the historical interpretation. So, in that job is essentially helping train interpreters, but also continue to do research, provide access. Sometimes you have to boil it down to make it very digestible for your interpreters, so then they can boil it down even further to the visitors and the guests. And so there's that element of it to it, and then of course regular manager duties of schedules and payroll and that stuff like that. But for the most part, it was kind of helping train and teach interpreters how to talk to the public about the site's history, but also how making those connections through the research that they are doing themselves as well. And then I started working at the Battle Franklin Trust at the end of July. So, and I've been there. I'm one of the newer people there. So it's been I've grown up going there since I was a kid. And it's really exciting to be a part of what they're doing there, which it's been so much fun. I can't believe I'm working there, actually. So
it is sort of like a dream come true kind of battlefield. The great stuff that Eric and the staff have done there is just incredible. And so to be able to show up as a place you've gone all your life, and then now you get to be there, that's got to be incredible.
Oh, it's great. And feel like I'm a part of what they're doing moving forward, and just being able to be helpful in achieving their goals is that's my jam. That's where I love to be. So I'm really excited for what the future holds.
Now, do you have a favorite spot in Franklin, on the battlefield or off the battlefield, that's associated with the battle?
So that has changed over the years.
Okay.
As a kid, you see the farm office at the Carter House, and that's powerful. seeing the bullet holes and things like that. And as I started to work there, there's these little slivers that I have places I've really enjoyed standing or going to while I'm working. Probably one of my favorite ones actually now is at Ripavilla. So that was the home of the Chairs family. On their side balcony porch, you can look out to the field where William Bates men are coming through trying to take towards the Columbia Pike, where the 26th Ohio was engaging with the 1st Georgia sharpshooters. And you can stand there and you can see the Columbia Pike. You can see where the Confederates would have started to bed down for the night. And you can just imagine standing there that night and wondering how in the heck is the U.S. Army able to escape right past the Confederate Army. And that was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize this is probably one of my favorite places to just kind of sit and reflect. It's my favorite place to take people on tours because you can really start to engage their imagination, and people really understand. It's like, oh, wow, this was a pretty big deal of what happens the day before the Battle of Franklin.
Yeah. To me, that's a really powerful spot because, you hear about this story of the Federal escape and then you stand there and you're like, oh my God, how did that happen? And it's a really great piece of ground to illuminate a story, I think, and illuminate some questions.
I will give an inside tip to any of your listeners that are visitors soon. And let me preface this, we are not sponsored by them at all. But there is a coffee shop right across the street from the Carter House, and they have a patio on top of the building that you can sit up. And if you want to get a cool kind of elevated view of the Columbia Pike near the Carter House, go get a cup of coffee at that place across the street and sit up on the patio. It is also a very cool, different perspective of the battlefield.
And I can attest their coffee's good. I had coffee there last time I was in town. So that's awesome. Now you also live near the Stones River battlefield, which is a kind of an overlooked gem in a lot of ways. Do you have a favorite spot there at Stones River?
Oh, okay. So Stones River is my Civil War nerd place.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
That is the first battlefield I ever went to as a kid. And that place is kind of what kickstarted everything. Stones River, probably, the slaughter pen is really cool because you kind of see how landscape or the geography of the land has an impact on the battle. You can still see where the rocks are. And, again, you can utilize your imagination to think about what that area looked like during the battle. Another one that was kind of interesting that a couple of years ago, I had read an article that talked about the Hazen's Brigade monument that was carved there. Mm-hmm. And the soldier, Daniel Miller of the 115th Ohio, that had been commissioned to do the carvings on the monument. And I had seen some of these little local blog posts or articles that talked about that he made another carving down near the Stones River. So while they were working on the Hazen's Brigade monument, they would go take a break down at the river, go swimming. And while he was down there with his friends, he carved his name into a boulder along the river. But the articles didn't say exactly where it was. And I was like, I got to find where this is at. Okay. And I used some context clues and things like that. One day I was walking down the Greenway Trail next to the river, and I saw this little pull off, and I was like, well, there's a lot of rocks here. And I walked down there, and there it was. And 115th Ohio, Daniel Miller, very beautiful script font in the stone. And the guy who was helping him, his name is J.C. Bonhoff, also carved his name and the date that they did it, which was in May, I think, if I remember correctly, of 63. And so that was it had been, people knew about it, but it was kind of this little kept secret locally that not a lot of people knew about. And to kind of find it a little bit on my own was just like, oh, this is so, it was like finding a little gem, which is really cool. And then another thing that was tied to that is back in 2020, a gentleman who owned a relic shop had posted on a Facebook group, because I like period photography. And he's like, I have this soldiers album of soldiers from the 115th. And I messaged him, said, "Is there a guy in that photo album that says Daniel Miller?" And he messaged me back. He's like, "Yeah, it's on this page." And he sent me a picture of us. And the people I knew at Stones River, I contacted them immediately. I said, I just found the guy's picture. Y'all need to buy this photo album."
Yeah.
And sure enough, like within a couple hours, they had bought it, and it's now at the park, which is really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is really cool. That's a neat story. It's neat when those sort of things come together like that. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, so
So if
I
y'all
want
ever visit back to Stones River, I'll show you around.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, I want to take advantage of your beard expertise for a moment because we do have this incredible beard bracket going on for March Madness on our blog. Do you have a favorite Civil War beard that you would recommend to folks?
I mean, John Bell Hood has a pretty good beard.
Oh, see, he didn't even make the bracket. He didn't get nominated. So that is
Oh,
weird.
no.
Yeah. Well, and see, and you have a very hood-like beard too, actually.
Yeah. I mean, his is very well kempt. It has a good mustache, which I'm jealous of. I don't have a very good mustache, but also has kind of different coloration in it, which is I think is a little bit of character to it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. It's very lionine, I think. He just makes him look very lion. It's a
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. All right, so there are other historians who have beards, and so for you to claim the mantle as the bearded historian, I mean that's a big title. Are there other, that's some might say that that's kind of presumptuous of you, but I would say the beard, you're living up to it. So are there other historian beards who like not too bad. It's not the bearded historian, but your beard's not that bad.
Well, and sometimes people might judge that based off of um, you know, oh, it has to be length or anything like that. But I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it just has to one that adds to a person's character,
Hmm.
and it doesn't have to be the longest beard or anything like that. But I mean, you know, Shelby Foote has some good facial hair at some
Oh yeah,
points.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, very classic look. It adds to the character of him as an old, kind of Southern storyteller.
yeah.
So that one's always a good, nostalgic kind of look back onto a historian with some facial hair. So I think, that's probably one of my favorites.
Okay, all right, very good. I'm going to say of contemporary historians, I think Tim Smith of the West has a good beard that adds to his character. I think that was a good caveat that you added there. That adds to his
Yeah,
character.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very good. I just sort of have this little goatee, getting very more salty than peppery to my facial hair. So it,
Sometimes the beard's not necessarily what's always in your face. Sometimes the beard is in your heart.
see, that's a good way of putting it. Sometimes the beard is in your heart. So if folks want to, we're having a good time chatting here. But you do some really cool work. If folks want to kind of follow along and see some of the stuff that you do, how can they learn more about the Bearded Historian?
So I do have a Facebook page you can check out. Just look up the Bearded Historian. You'll see the logo here. Looks just like that. I also have an Instagram. Again, you can just look up the Bearded Historian. Look for this logo here. And I have a TikTok now. Same thing. Just look up the Bearded Historian. Look for the label here. And I also have an Etsy page that people can check out. I do kind of different historical inspired stickers and things like that.
So I know you did some design work for our good friends at Homebrewed History, Joe Ricky and company down there. So that's how I got first turned on to your good work. So cool, cool. So any final advice that you would offer for folks who are considering Civil War beards?
Uh, well, like we mentioned before, really, when you're looking at them, does it add to that person's character? Is it a part of their character? Is it a part of their brand? Um, does it add to them as their personality? It doesn't have to be just about who has the biggest beard. So really think about it critically. Don't just go off of, oh, he has a long beard, he's got to be the best.
And one final word, you want to give a little pitch for the Battle of Franklin Trust and the good work you guys are doing there?
Yes, if you have any chance to come visit us, please do. That would be awesome. A lot of really cool things are coming up in the future. At least come after the spring of 2026, because we'll have a new visitor center at the Carter House. So definitely come and check us out. There's a lot of great things that are happening in the future at the Bow Franklin Trust.
Jeff, I've had a pleasure just chatting with you and being a little fun, being a little serious. Thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Yeah, no problem. That was great.
So I'm Chris Mikowski for the Emerging Civil War podcast. Thanks to our guest, the bearded historian, Jeff Williams. We'll see you online and on the battlefield.